morning and welcome to the overview video for MAP 3. My name's Nigel Galt, Managing Director and Lead Developer for MAP, and the company is Olympic Limited. Thank you for watching this overview video for this latest release. There's quite a bit to get through, so we're going to try and jump straight in really. MAP 3 is the next major version of this add-in from us. We've done quite a bit of work on the code in the background to make the application more robust and to speed some of the functionality up, and we've also made some changes to the user interface as well. So we're considering this a major version leap rather than a point release. So that's the first thing really to understand about MAP 3. As I mentioned, we've done some fundamental changes in the user interface. I'm going to talk about these in detail a little bit later, but just to overview what we're going to be covering. We've added dual ribbon support, and we'll talk about that. We've got a new favourite feature for commands. We've also removed the old quick launch feature. We'll explain a little bit more about that as well. We've made some improvements, particularly around the user dialogues and some of the visual interface components. One of the main things we've done, we used to use link labels for function commands actions, so we've changed those to regular buttons. We've changed the way that the resource pack of images and icons is handled. We've also, and as a work in progress, we're updating the code to make sure that we can handle high resolution screens and ultra high definition screens, and we've also put in a more regular check for update routine as well, so we'll cover that. New functions, we've got My Maps Plus. Some of you may have already been using that from our standalone add-in that we released at the beginning of the year. That's now been integrated into MAP, and we have a new one called YouTube Video Topics, which is a nifty way of being able to sort of link YouTube information into a topic and display it with some supporting information in a separate browser. So we're going to show you that. With the release of MAP 3, we have made a decision that pricing needs to change. This is to reflect really the level of work that MAP is now demanding to keep expanding and also maintaining across the different versions of MindManager, and also to reflect the value that it does offer users with now well over 50 pieces of functionality that you can add to MindManager. So with that, the single user price is going to increase to £79 exclusive of UK VAT. At the moment, that's currently on offer at £59 exclusive of UK VAT, which is on for a limited time, but predominantly that's going to really run until the 31st of March. With the changes, it does mean that all previous MAP versions require a paid upgrade. So that means any prior version, all the way through up to MAP 2.4, if you're running one of those versions now, you will need to pay for an upgrade to MAP 3. The upgrade price is relatively low in comparison for the value that MAP offers. It's £29 exclusive of UK VAT for the single user. If you purchased an upgrade to MAP late last year when MindManager 2017 was first released, and you paid for the initial upgrade to run MAP on MindManager 2017, then your previous license will work with MAP 3, so you don't need to purchase the upgrade. But if you have any queries about that, please feel free to email me. My email address is nigel.galt, that's G-O-U-L-T, at olympic-limited.co.uk, and I can answer any questions you may have. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's jump straight in and talk about the dual ribbon. The dual ribbon is something we've implemented to help you spread commands across the ribbon menus. With well over 50 commands now, it's getting virtually impossible to display all of the commands on a single ribbon unless you're running a very high definition monitor with high resolution. So what we wanted to do is make it easier for people to organize the commands, and the dual ribbon is the first part of that, and we have another thing that I mentioned earlier, which is the new favorites feature, which is also part of that plan. So with the dual ribbon, what happens is when you start MindManager the first time you've installed version 3 of MAP, you will see a dialog that will ask you whether you wish to run the add-in in either a single ribbon or dual ribbon mode. If you select to run it in single ribbon, it will appear just as it always did with the single ribbon menu for MAP. If you run it in dual mode, which is what I'm currently running, you will see that you get 2 new ribbons. The first ribbon, which we call MAP main, contains all of the command groups and also the about group as well, with the help commands, etc. The only 2 groups that aren't displayed in here are the topic and map action groups, which we've split out into their own ribbon, so they can be accessed separately on demand. All of the commands again can be, you can choose whether you have them to display or not in their relevant ribbons. You can do that via the task pane. That hasn't changed, so you can turn off those that you very rarely use. If you still wish to maintain the amount of commands in the ribbon. But what this does enable you to do is hopefully use more of the commands where they're at their full size, so it makes them easier to identify and easier to move the mouse to and click when you're actually working with the add-in. So that's the dual ribbon. As I say, it's split across 2 ribbons now. It's optional, so you can decide to change that. What we've done is made it so that you can choose that each time you start MindManager, or you can just set it and then tell the dialog to go away and disappear. You can always change it at any time from the map settings in any case, but for example, if you're working from a laptop and say at home maybe you plug that into an external monitor which is a much better resolution, you might think, oh well, actually when I'm running on the laptop I need dual ribbons, but when I'm running on the other one I only want a single one, so you can just choose that when MindManager starts. And as before, all the commands remain accessible from the map task pane located here on the right hand side, or left if you're using the left hand interface. So that's the dual ribbon. The second thing that we've introduced that helps with finding and accessing commands is a new favorites feature. Now basically that's run from the task pane, and that enables you to effectively mark mark commands as favorites. So if you look through the task pane at the moment, you'll see that home topic has got a pale blue text on the command. I think if I scroll down here you can see quick task is also pale blue. That indicates to me that this is actually a favorite. If I right click it and look at the context menu of any command, you'll be able to see whether it is marked or not as a favorite. The little pin will be green if it is, and red if it's not. So you can remove or add commands to favorites just by selecting them by the right click and selecting add to favorites. To access the favorites, there's 2 ways of doing it. We have a very quick access icon on the top of the menu bar, and it's also accessible via the drop down. But basically when you select that icon, the task pane will change and will then shrink to just show you the commands you've marked as favorites. So once you've activated that view, from now on in this session, whenever I access the map task pane, this is the view that I will see. So again, it's just an additional way of you being able to group the commands that you use the most, or perhaps commands that are grouped. You might group them, for example, by a particular function you're using with MindManager at a specific time, so you know that you were working on an organizational chart map or something like that, and you might say, well actually I use these 6 commands in map very frequently for this, so I'm going to add them to my favorites for now, so I can just grab them straight away and speed up my workflow. So just reset that back and close that. So that's the new favorites feature. Next up is MyMaps Plus. So this is going to be quite a big one. MyMaps Plus, as I said before, some of you might have already had experience of our standalone version of this add-in, which we released in early January, I think. With the release of Map 3, we've integrated MyMaps Plus completely into this add-in, and with that move we've withdrawn the standalone add-in as well. So now MyMaps Plus is only available through Map for MindManager. For those that are seeing this for the first time, My Maps Plus basically is a Windows Explorer functionality located in a task pane. If you look down your task pane list, you'll see the My Maps Plus task pane tab, and when you extend that, effectively what you're seeing here is a bespoke Windows Explorer interface. Obviously you're probably more used to seeing that with the tree view of main folder or system main system folders on the left, with the list view on the right. With the task pane view, obviously we stack them on top of each other to make a better experience. But it basically is just exactly as I described. It's a Windows Explorer inside of MindManager. Now this opens up some capabilities enabling you to really quickly get to collateral when you're working with MindManager. We've also customized it slightly so it's kind of aimed directly at the MindManager interface. So we have some menu items at the top. The View My System icon will always take you back to the top level desktop root view. So that always gets you back to start if you've gone down into the tree and are lost in the massive of folders files that we all now have on our systems. So what we've also done is made it easy for you to quickly get to some of the more common areas you might want to reach. The first one of these is your My Maps folder. That's the default folder that's created when you install MindManager, and it's the one that obviously contains all of your maps. Some of you may be storing everything you do in that folder, some of you may have that somewhere else, but effectively it gives you access to that folder within one click, and obviously your maps are then shown in the list view. The other one that we've done is the MindManager templates, so you can quickly access the template files that are stored with MindManager again when MindManager is installed. And the third one is the macros folder. If you're one of those people that's fairly techy and you're using macros regularly, this is another good way of being able to access those quite quickly if you haven't set up menu commands for them. The other thing that we've done to this is made it easy for you to access cloud storage. One of the biggest frustrations I had with MindManager was I found and still find the file option here for accessing local files quite click intensive. It's quite a job to sort of navigate to where you want to be. You know, the Windows Explorer has to open and you have to navigate to that, and it was always seemed very convoluted to me, so it was quite something that frustrated me. The other thing with MindManager 2017, we've got box integration, but the box integration is a live integration onto the cloud account, so there's obviously a delay while that connects and etc. So what we've done with My Maps Plus is we've added support for the 4 main storage providers, so that's Box, Dropbox, Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive. So if you're running any of those cloud storage systems and you have the local sync application for that storage system installed, when you install MAP3 they should be auto-detected, and if they are, then they will the icons on here for those 4 providers will be enabled. As you can see, I've only got Microsoft OneDrive and Dropbox on this system, on this demo system, so Box and Google Drive are inaccessible to me at the moment. If I at a later date decide to start utilizing Box storage, for example, and I install the local sync, I can set those up via coming to the options here, and I can navigate to the actual Box or Google Drive folder and set that here so that I can then utilize them from the menu, so they can be set up post installation. But what this means is, for example, if I wish to access my Dropbox files, it's just a single click and I'm straight away into Dropbox. Likewise with OneDrive, single click and I'm straight into that collateral space as well. So it gives you a really good way of being able to access your cloud storage quite quickly within MindManager on the desktop. So what this does is And before I go on to that, I'm just going to cover one other thing. The other thing that we've added in MyMaps Plus as well is this ability to create favorites. So if I go back to the root folder, I can see I've got this Map3 demo files folder. If I select that, I can actually decide to add that as a favorite. Okay, I'll get a little dialog that says it's been added to my list. And then what that means is that anything I've added here I can quickly navigate to just by the drop down. So if there's some folders that you use on a regular basis that are a little bit buried and you don't want to navigate down a path to them each time, you can set them up as favorites and then access them from the drop down as you wish. And again, to jump back to the root at any time is just a click of the View My System icon on your back. So just wanted to cover that. If you have a favorite and you want to remove it, all you need to do is make sure that you've got that folder selected. You'll find that the remove favorite icon will become enabled, and then clicking that will take it out of the list. So there's another way there for you to manage your collateral spaces for when you work with MindManager. So what this really does is it adds a really nice capability for drag and drop. So when you're working with images and documents, so forth, it becomes very easy for you to simply just drag information from the My Maps task pane into the map. So we can bring in things and drop them in as an image. You know, if I wanted to drop that in, put it onto this and say, well, let's link to it, then I can do that. The same with documentation, for example. If I wanted to, let's just clear that so it clears some space. If I wanted to bring in a Word document, I can simply just drag that in. Do I want to link it? Nope. Let's attach that one. So now I've got an attachment topic for that. So as you can see, when you're working with lots of files and imagery and things like that, it can really create a fast way to work with MindManager and improve your workflow. Not only that, you have to remember, and sometimes it's easy to forget, but this is a fully fledged Windows Explorer interface. So you have all of the options that you have on the normal Windows version, which means, you know, with the right click you can access the context sensitive menu. You can rename, delete, open, do whatever you like with it, look at the properties of the file, etc. So you really do have a powerful way. You can utilize drag and drop as well. So it's one of those functionalities that we like because it keeps the user in the MindManager experience. So you don't have to keep popping out to other dialogues or other screens to drag and drop or close windows down and that kind of thing. So the other thing with MyMaps Plus is there are some options that we've sort of set up specifically for MindManager. You can see down the bottom here we have an option for MindManager files only. Basically selecting that, when that's turned on, it means that when you select a directory it will only show you either map files, map templates or macros. That's the only type of files, obviously, and folders it will show. So if you just are really not interested with other collateral things, you can turn that on so that you can quickly group map or MindManager type files together, so that you can locate them quickly. And that's a simple on-off toggle. It's located at the bottom of the task pane, but it's also accessible through the options at the top as well. So the other thing we've added to this is what we've called an enhance mode. Now this is also accessible down the bottom all through the options, as you just saw. The enhance mode basically enables you to change the way that the left double click works on MyMaps Plus. So for example, when it's disabled, we'll go through what happens with that at the moment. So with a map, enhance mode is disabled. If I decide to double click this map, then the default for that action is to open the map in MindManager very quickly like that. So you can see it's a really neat way of just getting your maps open fast. If I was looking at a macro, and I'll just look in here, for example, select a topic, I'll run this on, this should show me the XML that this topic contains. If I double click that, it executes the macro. So a left double click with in standard mode will execute the file again. And if I'm looking at templates, let's have a look. So if we go to templates and I go to local templates, flowchart, horizontal swim lane, I'll double click that, and that basically opens up a brand new map based on the template that I've clicked, as you've just seen. So that's what happens when we're running in standard mode, basically, and enhanced mode is disabled. So we'll turn enhanced mode on now, and we'll see what happens to that. So what changes here is that if we are looking at a map, so we'll choose the project charter one. If I double click this now, what you'll see is I get a dialog that lets me know some information. It tells me enhanced mode is on, and it says that I've chosen to open what we've called a time-stamped copy of the selected map. Do I wish to continue? Now, if I select no, then it will default back to the standard double click action, which will be to just open the map, as you saw before. If I select yes, what it will then do is it will open up a copy of this map, but what it then does is adds a timestamp to it. So the map file now is project charter hyphen, and then it's got TS for timestamp, and then it's got a standardized date and time. This is great if you're working on maps that are changing very frequently and you want to keep a record of each sort of iteration. So each time you do that, a new map is created from it. If you double click on a map that's already containing a timestamp, it opens a brand new one and creates a new timestamp over the top of that. So it's a great way for you to be able to, as I say, keep records of maps where you're working through iterations. So that's what happens on a map. So let's now take a look and see what's going to happen on a macro. So on a macro before, as you saw, the show XML would actually execute. So now I'm going to double click in enhanced mode. I get the dialog again. Okay, so I'm going to say no, let's click yes. And what that will then do is open up just because I haven't used the macro editor on this system. That will then open up the macro editor. So as you can see, very basic macro there for doing that quick and dirty. So again, you're given the choice. If I'd have selected no, then the macro would have executed. And then finally we've got the template. So if we go to the template folder and we look at one of these, training plan for example, what happens with that when I double click again? I've got a warning. I select yes because I want to actually run it in enhanced mode, but what this then does is it opens up the actual template. So I'm now actually working in the template and editing the core template file rather than producing a brand new map based on the template, which is the standard option. Once you get familiar with using the enhanced mode and the dialogues are annoying you and you don't want to see them, if you come up to the My Maps Plus options, you can basically turn off the notifications on the left click action. So that will get rid of the message box, and effectively you'll lose the option to choose the default action. It will just basically run the enhanced mode if that's the mode you're in. So I'm just going to turn that off for now. So that's that covered. So that's really all there is on My Maps Plus. There are some known issues with the interface. For example, when I go back to the root, when selecting MindManager files only, for example, the display doesn't update in real time. You have to change a folder for that change to take effect. We're working on the refresh for that, and hopefully we'll have that updated in a point release in the coming months. So that's one of the things to remember. The other thing to remember is if you are accessing some folders that have got lots of files in, you might find that there's a little bit delay in the display. That's natural. We're working on again some improvements to speed up the processing of this, but it is quite a complex module. But as I say, we're trying to improve it all the time. And one thing I forgot to mention is in the list view here, you've got different views that you can pick, so you can actually move it to a property view, so you can see, modified date times, that kind of thing. And there are some other views. Some of the views are can be a little bit squiggled on certainly on high definition monitors, and sometimes depending upon the content of the folder, we're working on trying to get those improved as well. The main views we recommend to use are the detail view or the large view. They're two views that we find most people are using. And also on this menu, as you navigate around, there is a back arrow, so you can always move up one folder if you've drilled down. So that's MyMaps Plus. We think that you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of that, because it really does improve the speed at which you're able to work with MindManager when you are working with external resources. So moving on now to the YouTube video topics. YouTube video topics is a little function that enables you to embed a YouTube video onto a topic and add some supporting information. It's a topic action, so it's located on that menu, on that ribbon menu, and I'll show you just how you would create one of these. I've got a YouTube URL here. I'm just going to copy that. Basically what you would do is select the topic. The command is split, so it's the top half of the command that actually executes this, and then you'll see the dialog display where you can enter the video YouTube video ID. What you really need to enter here is the URL that you grab from the video. So if it's on another user's site and you've right-clicked it and used the copy video URL command, or you've selected it and cut it from a browser address bar, you just need to basically drop that URL into there. For some reason it didn't copy, so let's make sure we've got this. Copy and try that again. Okay, we've tried to make it match, because there are some different combinations of YouTube video URL you can get. I think from memory this caters for about 15 different configurations of YouTube URL, where you can just drop it into the box as I've just done, and it will extract the video ID to do the bits and pieces that we do with it. So you should be fine. If you do drop a URL in and it doesn't complete the process or put the icon onto the topic, as you'll see in a moment, then try and find a different URL for that video and give that a go. Once you've got the URL, then there are a couple of options that you can choose. You can choose to display text notes if the topic has them rather, or you can choose to display a dedicated URL. If you select to display a dedicated URL, you can then enter a web page URL here, and you'll see in a moment why that becomes relevant. Because if you have a video, for example, let's say I've got a video on, I don't know, learning to ski, and then you've got a web page which is all about, skiing techniques for beginners or something like that, you could link that page with the video and you'll get a more richer experience for the user of the map when they're using it. The other option that you've got, I'm just going to put that back to text notes now. The other option you've got is autoplay. Basically, if you set that, there is an auto view mode, which I'll show you again in a couple of seconds. If autoplay is selected, what that does is just means that when you select a topic with a YouTube video on it, it will literally just start playing rather than require you to click the play action. So I'm going to insert that one onto this topic. So you can see it places a control strip icon on, a little YouTube icon, and if I left click that, I've now got some options on this. So the three options I've got is to play the YouTube video. I can edit the settings, which means if I wanted to now, I could change either the text notes or display URL or turn autoplay on or off. depending on what I wanted to do. And the third option is to remove all of the topic data relating to that. So if you finish with it and you want to clean the topic, I mean, personally you could just delete it, but some people might not want to do that. You've got a lot of sub branches on there or something, so this third option will just clean the topic of all the data we've used to enable this. So when someone's on one of these topics and they click the play video, what you'll find is you've got a task pane that appears, which loads the video, starts to play that in the top section, and in the bottom section there's a second browser. The second browser is where we would display the text notes or a dedicated URL. Now on this topic there are no text notes, and as you saw I didn't give it a dedicated URL. That means that it's going to display what we've set as a default. The default URL is basically a landing page from our website, which shows some of our other add-ins. In the future versions we're going to add the ability for you to put your own default URL in there, so that you could, I don't know, perhaps display your home page or something like that. So what we're going to do now is look at the different ones. So that's a topic without notes, pretty much the same as what you've just seen. So if we look at a topic with notes, if I play this one, you can see now I've got separate content or different content in the lower browser window, and this effectively is just what's located in the topic text notes displayed underneath. It should be fully formatted, so links and pictures and that kind of thing will display, and if it's a long page you'll be able to scroll up and down that. I will say at this point, obviously you can move the task pane out to change the video size if you wish to do that. That's not a problem. So we're going to try and make this a little bit more fluid so that it automatically scales for the video on moving left and right of the task pane, so that will come in a later release. The next one is a topic with a custom URL. This is one I've previously set up. That's going to give us a MindManager video for 2017, and in the bottom we've got the MindJet homepage. So as you can see, that can be navigated while the video is playing. And the final topic is a topic we've got with autoplay enabled. Now what I will do is just stop that. So if you come up to the YouTube video topic command and drop the menu down, you'll see you've got two options. We'll talk about the lower one in a little while. The other one is to enable what we call auto view. Auto view is the toggle, it's either on or off. When it's on, the top half of that command will become enabled, or lit as we call it. When you have that on and effectively running, if you select a topic, the task pane will automatically update if it has a YouTube video setting on it. So if I select any other topic, task pane doesn't change. I select another one, task pane does change. So that's quite useful. What you have to remember is if you are using this, and one of the reasons that we built this was we thought it would be nice for people to be able to view videos and associated information, and also to take notes in the map in real time as they're watching the video. Could be great for learning or education purposes, so that's one of the things behind this. So if you do that, what you have to remember is that the minute you go to another topic and then you move back, your video will probably restart. So if you were using it in that way, what you would do is obviously turn that functionality off so that you were playing the videos on demand. But when that's enabled and we hit a topic that's got autoplay, again, when this topic was created, the autoplay was set. So what happens here is the minute we hit the topic, the video starts to play. So it's just a little bit more of an inclusive, interactive and immersive experience for the user. So one of the things that you might do is you might say, okay, well, I've closed that, but the video is still playing, I can hear it, and now my task pane's gone and I can't get back to it. Well, we've made the YouTube video task pane tab non-visible in general circumstances because we didn't want to overcrowd the task panes. or the task pane tab collection. So if you do this, then you'll need to click the task panes down here, and you'll be able to see that the YouTube video topic 1 is live, and that way you can get in and kill the video. So that sorts that out. So that's how that works. The auto view option, as I've already said, is to display the task pane whenever a topic is selected that contains the YouTube video. Again, if autoplay is selected, it'll start auto playing. And as I mentioned earlier, it's great for creating maps for education and instructional purposes, and for helping take notes and collate feedback when you're watching a YouTube video, particularly if it's a business related one or a seminar or something like that. It just gives you a nice way of being able to keep that in MindManager at the same time, work with the map, and navigate around other videos as you go. It's also a nice way to be able to create maps of video collections, perhaps around a particular subject or a particular company or something like that. One of the things that we have also done with this is that obviously if you're a map user, you can create these topics and utilize them, and that's great. But what happens if you wanted to create a map which had some video collateral in, and you said, I want to send that to another MindManager user? What would happen at the moment is you'd send that map, and when they open the map, the icons for the YouTube topics, the icons for the YouTube topics basically wouldn't. Let me just put that back where it belongs. The items, the topics that have YouTube control strips on them, these just wouldn't appear, so they'd just be normal topics, and there would be no functionality. So what we've done is we've created a small add-in, which is a viewer for these types of maps. That add-in is totally free. It's a really straightforward small 500k add-in that the user can install into their copy of MindManager, and then when they receive a map that contains this information, they will then be able to view it in the same manner. The difference is that when they receive a map, they don't have any menu on the left click. So let me just disable that auto view. So on the left click, effectively all it does is play the video. So if the video is not already visible, then the task pane will slide out for the viewer, and that will play, and it's exactly the same task pane that you've been seeing on this demonstration. If you create maps in that way, then what we've also done is added a functionality here, which is this lower option, or the second command on the YouTube video topic, and that enables you, if you click that, what that will do is create a topic in your map. It's got some text notes there that lets the reader know that they need to download and add in to view the content, and there is a link then for the viewer only, which is free, very small, straightforward install, no licensing component or anything like that in it, and there is a viewer for all versions of MindManager from 14 upwards. It is important they install the correct one for the bit version, otherwise it won't work. But this enables you to be able to create maps that have YouTube video topics support, and for you to be able to provide the viewers of those maps with a way to have a much more interactive and immersive experience with your map. Again, if you have any queries about how to use that in any way, shape or form, then just let us know and we'd be more than happy to help. So that covers the YouTube video topics. So let's just quickly move on now, I'm conscious of time, to what's been removed. As I mentioned before, we've removed Quick Launch. It used to sit on the home ribbon. For those of you who remember, it used to be located here on the right, and you could mark commands to be displayed in a drop down from that. As I said, the introduction really of the task pane functionality in map 2 really made that redundant, because any command is only really 2 clicks away, no matter where you are in the menu system of MindManager. So we decided with 3 that it was pointless to continue to support that feature, and we've removed that. So onto improvements. As you probably saw when I was using the YouTube functionality, we've replaced link labels with full buttons to make them easier to access and give you a better readability, and also, as I said before, I'll talk about this now as it's form related, we're trying to make sure that most of the dialogues, or all of the dialogues, are updated so they can react and behave properly with different resolutions. Now we're getting more of these high resolution systems coming on board. We're still struggling with some stuff on the ribbon menu, but we think that's partly to do with some of the core code in MindManager that we don't have access to, so we're trying to work with Corel MindJet to actually rectify that, and hopefully that will be, it's all ongoing work, so with each iteration hopefully you'll see improvements with that. The other improvement we've made, if you've been a map user for a while, you'll probably remember when you install a new version, the first time you start MindManager you would get a little sequence where it would go through and unpack all of the images and icons. We very rarely update that resource pack, but we are planning to update it more often in the future. But we've changed the way that works so that the resource pack is now something that you install on demand. If you look at the main map menu under the map help section, you'll see there is a user activated command there for unpack map resources, and that will do the extraction for you. This will appear on first install, so the first time if you're a new user this will appear. You can then unpack it. Once you've unpacked it, this command will disappear from this menu. In a future release of a map, if we've updated that resource pack or added more images or maybe some templates that we're planning to do, then this will reappear, and you'll be notified that there is an updated resource pack to install. So that's the resource pack. The other one we've done is the check for updates. There's always been a check for updates in map, but with map 3 we're intending to try and roll out updates more often. That's not just necessarily updates for new functionality, but updates for improvements and or issues that we find. And we're very proud that when users report an issue to us, we jump on it. We don't like the fact that there's software out there and users out there that are having a bad experience. It's not what we're about. We are about making sure that when you buy something from us, it does what it should do, unless there is a very good reason that it can't. So we wanted a way to make users immediately, not quite immediately, but to notify users within a 7-day period whenever an update takes place. The newer check for updates will do that. So each time you start map, once a week, one of those occasions when you start it, it will just check to see, it'll call out to the internet and check to see if there is an update available. If there is, you'll see a message box, and if you choose to install it, you can then download an update. If you don't, then the message box or the nag box will disappear. What you will see is, again, in the map menu up here, there'll be another option here which just tells you that there's an update available. So if you ever drop this menu down and you see that, then it means that the current version you're on, which you can see here, is probably not the latest one. So that covers the check for updates routine. As ever, the help map has been updated. We have changed the layout a little bit, so you can now see which functions are enabled in the map ribbon on first install just by the icons, the little ticks and checks you can see here. As always, the whatever's new, so this is the map 3.0 version. because the 3.1 and the 3.2 version releases were just minor fixes in the background that don't affect the user really in any way. So the only time we put any real core information here is when it's something that you would be affected by from a usability or user interface point of view. So we've changed the way that we're highlighting some of the major changes, but other than that, the maps contains everything it needs to. We've gone through and updated some of the out-of-date screenshots as well, so hopefully that will alleviate some of the confusions that some people were having where we had some old screenshots and obviously it didn't reflect the current interface that they were doing. So we've done that as well. We've also on the help map some of the more detailed help around Map Tracker, Google Plus and the My Maps Plus. We had them as separate maps, so you would open them in a separate map, and they're now actually combined into the one help map, so everything's under the one. We do actually have those as well, which we're going to try and update more regularly. So we've got some interactive maps on our website that you can view online without MindManager, but they're in MindManager format, and when we do minor changes we'll update those so that there is always a very up-to-date point of reference for help. So that's about it. It's been a bit of a long one this because we had so much on it. As I say, it was a major release for us, and it's sort of paving the way for the next few releases where we've got some more exciting things coming up for you. The next update we're planning is Q2. We're at a situation now where we plan to do a sizable update once every quarter. So we hope that there might be some interim updates as well. That's part of the check for updates routine that we've updated, but at least once a quarter you will be receiving a free update which contains new functionality or content. The best way to learn about that is to follow me on Twitter. That's my Twitter ID. If you sign up and follow that, that's just really anything to do with Olympic, and majority of things that we push through our Twitter account are related to either issues we've found or when new versions are released. So if you want to know the day that it happens, then sign up to that and keep your eye on Twitter, because that's the main way that we push that out. And next actions for you, if you're a new user or maybe you haven't used any add-ins at all from us yet, then Map is not the only one we do. We also have some MindManager add-ins from other developers that we promote and support, such as Results Manager and Multimaps. And there's also our other 3 core add-ins that we develop in-house, which is WordX, Topic Tracker and Task for Maps. So please have a look at those on our website, download trials, and see if you can find how they will change perhaps the way you work with MindManager. And another thing that you can do is join what we call the Olympians. The Olympians is effectively our newsletter group. We only send out a newsletter no more than once a month. Usually it's a bi-monthly thing, and by joining that you can get additional discount that you can use across all purchases on the site, and also you can get free add-ins and resources that you don't get if you haven't signed up for that. So that's worth giving that a look on our website as well. So I think that just about covers it for now. I hope you like the new release. If there's any issues that you find with it, then please do contact us. There's contact forms on the website, or you can email me directly at nigel.gault, G-O-U-L-T, at olympic-limited.co.uk, and we'll try and help you with any issues that you do have. Just like to say once again, thank you for all your support. It's really appreciated. Do keep your feedback coming. It's really interesting. We get some great ideas for new functionality from users as well, so do keep that coming, because that helps us to keep providing you with with more additional capability and more enhancing of your MindManager experience. So until the next time,